On a humid June night in rural South Carolina, the world of 16-year-old Trey Wright came to an end. He thought he was going to meet his girlfriend, a teenage ritual as old as adolescence itself. Instead, he walked straight into an ambush on a dark stretch of First Neck Road. By the time deputies arrived just before midnight, Trey was lying in the roadway, bleeding out from multiple gunshot wounds. Within hours, he was gone. At first, it sounded like a familiar tragedy. A fight over a girl, a jealous rival, a gun. But as the investigation unfolded, the story became stranger, darker, more layered. 9 teenagers were arrested, including Trey's girlfriend, 17-year-old Gianna Kistenmacher. Police said she helped lure Trey to his death. The alleged shooter was 19-year-old Devan Raper, a young man from Conway who'd been friends with both Trey and Gianna. Detectives said not only was the murder premeditated, it was filmed. Someone pulled out a phone and hit record. That's the detail that makes this story feel so modern and so chilling. It's not just a killing, it's a performance. Trey's mother, Ashley Lindsay, said her son had only been dating Gianna for a few weeks. He'd met her through Raper, the man now accused of murdering him. 2 days before he died, Trey had told her that being with Gianna felt like a dream come true. He was smitten, hopeful, maybe a little naive. He wasn't about dumb stuff like a love triangle, she said. He might have been clueless to whatever else was going on. It's a heartbreaking sentence because it says everything about the innocence of a boy who still believed that drama had boundaries, that bad feelings stopped short of real violence. But for the kids who planned that night, the line between digital posturing and actual bloodshed had already vanished. Police say the plan started on Snapchat. A flurry of messages, rumors, and threats that escalated until Gianna and several friends arranged for Trey and Raper to meet up. Raper allegedly arrived armed. Gianna allegedly brought Trey to the spot, and others, some as young as 15, went along for the ride, aware that things could turn violent. When Raper pulled the trigger, 2 bullets tore through Trey's chest. The others fled, some filming, some laughing. Within hours, posts about the shooting began to circulate online. The violence had been committed, captured, and shared, an entire moral collapse compressed into the attention span of the internet age. For Trey's mother, it's incomprehensible. "When I was growing up," she said, "if kids had a problem, they'd fight with their hands and go home. You didn't pick up a gun." What she's describing is the loss of what older generations might call code, that unspoken rule among kids that no matter how bad the fight got, there were limits. But what happens when you grow up in a culture where everything is a spectacle? Every friendship, every feud, every humiliation. When your worth is measured in likes and conflict is currency? That's the psychology haunting this story. The way social media has flattened the distance between action and reaction. These teenagers didn't just argue. They escalated, documented, and broadcast their violence. It wasn't enough to fight. It had to be seen. Prosecutors now want all 9 suspects charged as adults. They're using an old law, the hand of one is the hand of all, to argue that every teen who helped lure Trey that night bears the same guilt as the man who fired the gun. 2 of the youngest suspects, a 15-year-old girl and a 16-year-old boy, are waiting for mental health evaluations that will determine whether they understood what they were doing. If tried as adults, they could face life in prison. Criminal defense attorney Tyler Bailey told reporters that the prosecution is trying to send a message. Youth violence has reached a point, he said, where no one gets to claim they were just there. If you're part of it, you're accountable. But beneath that legal philosophy is something even more disturbing, the recognition that the violence isn't just physical anymore. It's psychological, social, viral. After their arrests, 2 of the suspects posed for a Snapchat photo outside the Florence County Detention Center. They smiled for the camera, one throwing a peace sign, another flashing a mock grin. The caption included a racial slur. That image might be the most haunting artifact in this entire case, not because it's cruel, though it is, but because it's casual, detached. It's a generation showing you how it processes catastrophe. By posting it, that's the part that makes even veteran investigators pause. These were kids, none of them old enough to legally buy a beer, most barely out of high school. Yet they carried themselves like characters in a movie, one they thought they could stop before the credits rolled. But this wasn't a movie. Trey Wright was a real kid, 16 years old, played varsity football and baseball, Worked part-time at a deer processing plant. Loved dirt bikes, fishing, making people laugh. His friends said he was tough but kind, the kind of guy who'd pull a fish hook out of his own hand without flinching, then make a joke about it. His mother called him 1 in a million. And now, because of a chain of choices made in the span of a few hours, he's gone. And 9 others could spend the rest of their lives in prison. The sheriff called it senseless. "You got a 16-year-old that lost his life," he said. "You've got a 19-year-old who's going to be in jail the rest of his life. Over what?" That question hangs in the air, heavy and unanswerable. Over what? A girl? Ego? A few lines of text? A video they thought would make them look tough? The deeper truth may be that no one involved really thought it would happen. They weren't planning a murder, at least not in the way adults understand planning. They were role-playing, acting out the scripts they've absorbed from music, movies, TikToks, and video clips of real people dying that circulate without context or consequence. They weren't plotting homicide, they were chasing attention, and then the gun went off. His mother still describes him as everybody's friend, the kid who made people laugh and who loved the outdoors. For her, justice isn't abstract, it's personal. It's about accountability and about making sure no other mother watches her child become a headline. Meanwhile, the accused wait, some under house arrest, some behind bars, as the legal machinery begins to turn. Thanks for watching. If you want more deep dive coverage of true crime and breaking cases, hit that subscribe button. There's a lot more coming soon.